The imperial harem of China was far more than just a place of beauty and refinement. It was a battleground of ambition, intrigue, and ruthless survival. Behind the silk curtains of the Forbidden City, consorts competed for power, influence, and control over the imperial court. Some women mastered this treacherous game, shaping dynasties and altering history. Others, however, miscalculated, overreached, or backed the wrong side, only to be cast into disgrace, exile, or death. Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Today, let's explore the women who shaped and shattered the imperial court, those who rose to power and those who fell in the pursuit of it. Of all the women who sought power in China's history, none rose higher than Wu Zetian. She was not content to rule through men. She became emperor in her own right. The most famous and most ruthless of all imperial consorts, Wu Zetian, began her rise as a lowly concubine in the harem of Emperor Taizong of Tang. After his death, she maneuvered her way into the court of his son, Emperor Gaozong, becoming his most trusted consort. Wu understood the favor alone was not enough. She needed to eliminate rivals. Through a combination of calculated alliances and brutal tactics, she dismantled the existing power structure, even orchestrating the demotion and exile of Empress Wang. Her ultimate triumph came after Emperor Gaozong's death. Rather than ruling from behind the scenes, she declared herself emperor, the first and only woman in Chinese history to officially sit on the dragon throne. Her reign was marked by political reform, military expansion, and ruthless suppression of opposition, proving that a consort, given the right intelligence and ambition, could rewrite the rules of power. But Wu Zetian's story does not end here. Her rise to power, the controversies of her reign, and the legacy she left behind are a story of their own. We will explore more of her fascinating rule in a future video. While Wu Zetian openly ruled as emperor, most consorts who sought power had to do so indirectly. One of the most successful was Empress Dowager Cixi. Starting as a low-ranking concubine, Cixi's fate changed when she bore the emperor's only surviving son. From that moment, she secured her grip on power. When her son ascended the throne as Tongzhi Emperor, Cixi ruled as his regent, consolidating control over the imperial court. When he died, she engineered the rise of a new child emperor, ensuring that real authority remained in her hands. For nearly 5 decades, Cixi controlled the Qing Dynasty, eliminating political enemies, blocking reforms, and ruling from the shadows, without ever officially sitting on the throne. Her rule was a testament to the power a woman could wield when she mastered the court politics. But Cixi was not the first consort to seize such power. Centuries before her, another woman had done the same, but with even more brutality. Over 2,000 years before Cixi, Empress Lü Zhi proved that a consort could rule an empire, even if she never sat on a throne herself. Lü Zhi was the wife of Liu Bang, the founding emperor of Han Dynasty, who later became known as Emperor Gaozu of Han. After his death, she became the first woman in Chinese history to wield full imperial power as a regent. Unlike Wu Zetian, she never declared herself emperor, but through political manipulation, assassinations, and ruthless control, she ruled the empire from behind the scenes. After Gaozu's death, Lü Zhi moved swiftly to eliminate threats to her power. Rival factions were dismantled, political opponents silenced, and those who stood in her way, especially within the harem, met cruel fates. Her most infamous act involved one of Emperor Gaozu's beloved concubines, a woman who had dared to challenge her authority. The full extent of Lü Zhi's vengeance would become one of the most horrifying tales in the history of the imperial court, one we will explore later in this video. For years, Lü Zhi ruled as regent, placing puppet emperors on the throne while wielding true control over the empire. But while she commanded absolute power, she made one fatal mistake. She ruled through terror, not loyalty. When Lü Zhi died, there was no one left to protect her legacy. Her enemies, long silenced by fear, quickly retaliated. The Lü clan's power was wiped out in a brutal purge known as the Lü clan disturbance, 吕氏之乱. Within days, the dynasty she had carefully controlled turned against her family, erasing their influence from history forever. Her reign itself did not collapse, but the power she built was entirely dependent on fear. Once she was gone, so was everything she had fought for. Yet, power in the imperial court could be wielded in more than just one way. Some consorts ruled through terror, others through patience, alliances, and quiet diplomacy. Empress Xiaoshengxian was one of the latter. Rather than ruling through force, she shaped Qing Dynasty's future through patience, alliance, and calculated influence. She understood that power in the imperial court was a slow game, one that required careful maneuvering rather than open confrontation. When her son ascended the throne as Emperor Qianlong, she rose as Empress Dowager Cixi, ensuring her family's influence remained secure for generations. Born Lady Niuhu Shi into a prominent Manchu family, she entered the Forbidden City as a low-ranking consort of Emperor Yongzheng. Though not initially favored, she positioned herself as a quiet but reliable presence, never making enemies where she didn't need to. Her patience paid off when she gave birth to the future Emperor Qianlong, a moment that changed her fate forever. Her survival in the harem was not just a matter of bearing an heir, it was about securing his path to the throne. While other consorts vied for immediate attention, she built lasting relationships with powerful Manchu nobles and court officials, ensuring that Qianlong remained the strongest candidate for succession. By avoiding direct political conflict, she outmaneuvered rivals not through force, but through alliances that solidified her son's future. After Yongzheng's death in 1735, her patience was rewarded. With Qianlong on the throne, she was elevated to Empress Dowager Cixi, wielding immense influence over the empire's political affairs. Unlike many Empress Dowager who ruled openly, she understood the value of restraint, preferring to govern through quiet diplomacy while allowing Qianlong to take the lead. This approach kept the court stable and prevented factional infighting, helping consolidate Qing power. She remained one of the most respected figures in court until her death in 1777, a testament to the strength of patience, foresight, and knowing when to act. And most importantly, when to simply wait. The story of Empress Xiaoshengxian was so compelling that it inspired one of the most famous fictionalized consort in modern media, Zhen Huan. The hit historical drama Empresses in the Palace portrays a young concubine who, through betrayal, exile, and political cunning, rise to rule the empire as Empress Dowager. Though fictionalized, Zhen Huan's journey mirrored the real Empress Xiaoshengxian's struggle for survival. Her efforts to secure her son's throne and her lasting legacy as one of the most powerful women in Qing Dynasty. The legacy of Empress Xiaoshengxian endured, securing the Qing Dynasty's stability for decades. Her success, like that of Zetian, Lü Zhi, and Cixi, came from careful strategy, patience, and the ability to navigate the treacherous currents of court politics. But for every woman who mastered imperial court, many others miscalculated and paid the ultimate price. In the Forbidden City, ambition was a double-edged sword. A single misstep could mean exile, imprisonment, or death. Some consorts trusted the wrong allies, overplayed their influence, or reached too far, only to be cast aside when fortune turned. Most of these women vanished from history, but for some, failure came on a far greater scale. Their miscalculation didn't just cost them their lives, they plunged entire dynasties into chaos. Few exemplify this better than Empress Nanfeng. Born into a politically influential family, Nanfeng was married to Sima Zhong, the future Emperor Hui of Qing. But there was a problem. Sima Zhong was intellectually disabled, incapable of ruling on his own. Jia saw this as an opportunity. She positioned herself as the real power behind the throne. At first, she ruled effectively, removing corrupt officials and consolidating imperial authority. But her ambition quickly turned ruthless. Fearing threats to her dominance, she launched a campaign of terror, imprisoning, exiling, and assassinating anyone who opposed her. She forced the crown prince to end his own life and crushed potential successors, silenced ministers who questioned her rule. But ambition without allies is a dangerous thing. Her brutal tactics alienated the imperial court and the aristocracy, creating powerful enemies. When her paranoia grew, she ordered the mass execution of rival princes, triggering a crisis that fractured the empire. The nobilities have had enough. A coalition of imperial relatives and generals launched a coup in 300 CE. Jia was captured, imprisoned, and ultimately executed. But the damage was already done. The power vacuum she left behind ignited the War of the Eight Princes, a catastrophic civil war that shattered the Qing Dynasty and left northern China in chaos for generations. Her story is a stark reminder. Rising to power is one challenge, but holding on to it is another. A ruler cannot govern through fear alone. Jia Nanfeng's failure did not just cost her life, it set an entire empire on the path to destruction. However, not every consort sees power through manipulation and fear. Some relied on favor alone, believing that an emperor's love would protect them. That, too, was a fatal mistake. The imperial harem was a paradox. Its women were confined by walls, yet some wielded more power than the emperor. The same ambition that secured influence could also lead to exile, disgrace, or death. Some consorts mastered the game, bending the imperial court to their will. Others miscalculated, trusting in love, luck, or a name that meant nothing once their allies were gone. In the end, survival in the Forbidden City was never about beauty alone. It was a battle of strategy, alliances, and knowing when to strike, or when to stay silent. Because in the harem, power was never given, it was taken. And for those who reached too high, the fall was always waiting. What are your thoughts? And what else are you curious about? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.
Stay curious, stay magical.